The Odin 2 does almost everything a handheld gaming enthusiast like myself could ever want. Not only that, but it does everything while maintaining excellent battery life, great thermals, and a top-notch built-in gamepad. And while I heavily recommend this device to any retro game enthusiast, my recommendation comes with a few caveats. Thanks so much for tuning in today. I'm Trav with Handheld Horizon. Let's get into the review. So before we get into the details here, let's talk about what this device actually is. The AYN Odin 2 is an Android-based handheld gaming device. You can essentially think of the Odin 2 as a high-end Android smartphone with a gamepad built in. If you have ever used an Android phone, you will be super familiar with the Odin 2, and the barrier to entry will be super low. I have the base model here, which has 8GB of RAM and 128GB of storage. There are higher end models which increase RAM and storage, but in my opinion, the best way to go is to get the base model and buy a big micro SD card. The Odin 2 can play a gigantic library of games. Think all the way back to the NES, all the way up to the Nintendo Switch. Some of the systems I find myself playing the most on the Odin 2 include the Super Nintendo, Game Boy Advance, GameCube, PlayStation 2, and a little bit of Nintendo Switch. You also have access to the full library of Android games like Stardew Valley, Balatro, and Genshin Impact. AYN knocked it out of the park with the Odin 2. This is exactly what a powerful Android handheld emulator should be. The Odin 2 has been out about 9 months now and is essentially the undisputed handheld Android emulation king, even a full 9 months after its release. Let's start with the built-in gamepad. Super nice feel all around, analog triggers, 2 function buttons in the back, D-pad is in the PS Vita style, nice clicky feel. Face buttons are solid, nothing super special here, but a very good feel all around. The screen is 6 inches diagonally, which is quite nice for the size of this device, and has a 1920 by 1080 resolution running at 60 Hz, which means that this screen has an extremely high pixel density, so those retro games look super crispy. Real quick here, handheld gamers, if you are getting something out of this video, please hit that subscribe button. It would mean so much to me. Thanks. Performance is where the Odin 2 shines. GameCube and PS2 run buttery smooth on here with a 3x resolution. The Odin 2 can even run Switch, but the compatibility is very hit or miss. Some games run perfect, and other games that would seem to run fine have extreme issues. So while the Odin 2 can emulate Switch, I would not buy this device specifically for Switch emulation. Think of Switch emulation as a nice bonus that might work here and there. The battery on the Odin 2 is actually insane. So good. Playing something like PS2 or GameCube can see up to 8 hours of gameplay. That absolutely blows its competitors out of the water. One of the absolute best devices for battery life, hands down. Getting the Odin 2 up and running with your emulators of choice is fairly simple, and you will be playing before you know it. Because it's running Android, the device is super snappy, and you can even use this as a small streaming device to watch some Netflix or stream your games via Moonlight. The front-end options for the Odin 2 are also very mature at this point. I decided to go with Emulation Station, which is a one-time $5 charge, and it is a great experience. I set Emulation Station to launch when the device powers on, so it feels more like a dedicated emulation device and not an Android phone. The Odin 2 is flush with amazing features and is absolutely worth the money at $299. You can pick this up on Amazon too for an upcharge, but it may be worth it for the customer service, shipping, and returns. If you order through AYN, the shipping tends to take about 2 to 3 weeks to the US, where Amazon can get this device to you in about 2 to 3 days. Now, if I'm being completely honest here, there aren't many things to complain about when it comes to the Odin 2. I have a few nitpicks here and there, but nothing major. First of all, I do wish the screen was 120 Hz instead of the standard 60 Hz. Considering the power of this device, many games could benefit from the higher refresh rate screen. While this device is more portable than something like the Steam Deck or Legion Go, it's still not what I would consider pocketable or really portable by any stretch. Hopefully soon I can get my hands on the Odin 2 Mini that does seem to be in the more portable device class. Because of this size limbo, the Odin 2 is kind of in a weird spot for me. Because it's not super portable, I find myself mostly playing this while at home. But when at home, given the choice, I tend to grab the Steam Deck OLED or ROG Ally X instead of the Odin 2. Overall, the AYN Odin 2 is an excellent device. I can honestly say it's probably the best dedicated Android handheld I have ever used, and if you don't have any other high-end emulation devices like the Steam Deck or ROG Ally, I wholeheartedly recommend the Odin 2, especially the base model at $299. However, here's my personal opinion. Because I am a handheld gaming enthusiast and also someone who reviews these kind of devices on YouTube, I have many options in the handheld gaming space. Because the Odin 2 is not what I would consider pocketable or really even very portable, I tend to put this in the same class as something like the Steam Deck or ROG Ally X. Because of this, I highly prefer a device like the Steam Deck to the Odin 2. The fact that I have the full access to my PC game library really opens a door to a whole generation of games that the Odin just can't access at this point. Now you can run Winulator, a Windows emulator on the Odin 2, but game compatibility is super low at this point and access to software like Steam is in super early development and is only slightly functional at this point. So for me, I prefer a handheld PC like the Steam Deck, ROG Ally, or Legion Go. But if you want to get into the high-powered handheld emulation scene for the lowest amount of money possible, the Odin 2 is the way to go. As always, handheld gamers, thank you so much for watching today. If you have any questions, leave a comment below. If you liked it, please leave a like. And most importantly, please hit that subscribe button. It really does mean a lot to me, and we are almost at 1,000 subscribers. Thank you so much. The support has been amazing, and I really appreciate it. As always, gamers, have a good one.